Hi class, welcome to our third week of English 1301. I wanted to kind of walk you through our assignments pretty quickly this week. It's going to be a little bit, I think, less strenuous this third week than maybe what we had last week. So let me go ahead and take you through this real quick. As usual, I want to go right into content. Now I have it set up here for week 3. You can always find which week we're on right here over on the side on the toolbar. This week we are focusing on the rough draft. So what I'm asking you to do is to post at least 50% of your essay that you were assigned last week on the protest song. You should have at least half of it done. Post that up onto the discussion board for week 3. And then once you have posted that, that should be posted by Wednesday. Once you have posted that, I want you to find one of your peers. Find their essay and then leave a comment letting them know that you're going to be reviewing their essay for them. We only need one person reviewing another person's essay, so try to find someone new. This way everybody gets some good feedback. I'll be jumping in here and there too, also checking and making sure that you guys are, helping to steer each other in the right direction. Now, I'm not sure about your background with doing peer review before. I know a lot of times people come into it a little bit with a little anxiety or a little anxiousness because we don't want to offend someone with the writing, and writing is also extremely vulnerable. So I have a couple things that we're going to do. First, we're going to make sure that everything that we do, we ground it in kindness. So we are coming at this not to necessarily critique someone's writing, but to encourage them to do something better. The goal here is to be a great writer, and great writing gets higher grades. So we're all working together to help each other out. So let's make sure that we're watching the tone when we're coming through. The other thing we want to do is we don't want to just neglect really great feedback for someone by just saying, oh yeah, I really like what you wrote here, it's nice. So what I have is a peer review checklist. If you come down here, you're going to see I have a peer review checklist for Essay 1. When we go into this, you can see that I have essentially 9 questions that I want you to ask of the paper that you're reviewing. So I would copy and paste this right into like a Word document or something and fill it out as I'm reviewing their paper. And then I would copy and paste this plus the answers into the discussion post. Now, we're going to have a faster turnaround. You need to have your response, this review, done by Friday. I have extended the deadline for our first essay from being Friday. So if you look in our course schedule, it was going to be due Friday at 11:59, but I've given you guys a couple of extra days for a couple of reasons. One, this is election week, so we're going to miss our Zoom meeting. I'm going to cancel that for this week because it's so important that you get out there and vote if you haven't done so already, and I don't want any of the assignments I have to interfere with that opportunity. So we're not going to have a Zoom meeting this week, so I'm making this video instead. So we want to make sure that we can go vote. We're getting a couple extra days there. The second reason is I want you to have a day or two once you get your feedback done to review your own essay before you put it into Dropbox. These are some of the main things that you're going to be graded on, right? I want to make sure that you have this done in MLA format. That you introduce the artist and the song, that you introduce the topic, protest music, before you dive into your song. Too many times people will just start off with their song, but I want you to go back a little bit more, go back to the entire conversation of protest music, and then transition into your conversation about this artist and this song. You should have some kind of thesis statement in your last sentence. And it's going to give you essentially, you're going to make some kind of claim about this protest song, and you're going to have, 2 main points or a roadmap of the ways that you're looking at this. I do have a file on thesis statements if it's been a while since you've done that. Thesis statements are going to ground every essay that we write in here. So I want to make sure that you have a chance to review that if it's been some time since you've written them. I'm also happy to talk about them anytime that you want. So if you're struggling with your thesis statement, want me to look at it, then just give me a call or send me an email. Just do so before about 8 p.m. because I'm kind of old and I like to go to bed early. All right, so the next thing you want to look at, do the body paragraphs have some kind of topic, sentence, or a claim that supports that thesis statement? This is a big thing for me. Is there textual evidence? Do you have a quote from the song or, an example from the video? This is a big deal. I want you to learn to back up your arguments or your claims with evidence. Without it, if we're just talking about our opinion of the song, it's really not great. You can prove your take by providing evidence. And this is the distinction between, just the typical social media arguments and an academic argument. An academic argument asks you to prove your point. And so we want evidence. So this is a big, big deal. So look in each one of those essay, the essay that you're reviewing. Plus, you might want to check your own back and make sure that you have that. Make sure that you're introducing your artist and your song. You see, I got that twice because it's just that big of a deal. I often will get a paper where someone's talking about a song, but I have no idea who wrote it and what the song is called, so I can't even check it, and it does not make for a really great argument if I'm not sure what we're talking about. Then you can give a little bit more specific feedback. I always like to go with what is the strongest elements in a paper, because if someone knows they're doing something really well, they're going to keep doing that. And so you'll see I'll do that too. Like if you are organizing something great, if you're doing something really nice, I'm going to tell you because I want you to keep doing that. And then you're going to give maybe some tips that you can make this better. And it could be, hey, don't forget to run this through Grammarly, because I'm seeing a few grammar errors still showing up. Oh, I noticed you didn't have that textual evidence. So you might want to go back through the song and find one that's going to help pull this together. Any type of, tips that you can give your peer to help them to score better. Everybody wants to be a better writer. And so this is one of the things that we're going to work on. All right. So that's the peer review checklist. Your participation on the discussion board is going to be focused on how well you respond to that. So I'm grading half your discussion post is that you posted at least 50% of your own essay, and the other half is that you did the peer review checklist for a peer. So that's how you can earn a pretty easy 100 this week. All right, so the other thing I have here is search and destroy editing tips. Too many people skip over this, and you really should not, because I'm giving you all the hints of what I'm grading by. And so here's one that you can do on your own. I would download this and keep this on your computer, because this will help you with every essay that you write for me, plus any essays that you might write for someone else. So you can see right here, if you are using I, take it out. Take out things like I believe that or in my opinion. Those are filler words. Your name is up at the top of your paper, so I already know it's you and it's your opinion. It's so much stronger to say, cats are better than dogs than I believe that cats are better than dogs. I'm already cushioning my stance too much by throwing in the I believe that or in my opinion. I want to go straight for that argument and be clear and concise. So take out your first person. And then take out they, we, us, and you. I do have a little PowerPoint up and a discussion on how to replace you in your writing. You is just offensive. It shouldn't be there. If you're really trying to persuade someone of something, you want to go bigger. You want to attack the cause. You can talk about how, important recycling is. But the second you turn it personal and say, well, you need to recycle, then the person reading it will be like, well, that's just kind of rude. Where it's much better to write something, there are several important reasons that citizens should be recycling. And then you start giving the evidence for that. So you're convincing them without accusing them. So we want to take you out unless it's a direct quote from the song that you're using. They, take out they and use whoever they is, right? Just replace that pronoun with a specific, noun or person or group that you're wanting. So if you're talking about protesters, if you're talking about musicians, if you're talking about the listeners or the audience or the police officers, or the celebrities or anything, just use the actual name instead of they, because they is very vague and ambiguous and it's really not great. I see sometimes a lot of people write with we and us, and I guess unless you're the Queen of England, you really shouldn't. It's kind of weird and awkward. We as Americans, well, just say Americans. Americans should do this. Otherwise, it is a bit Queen of England-ish. I would take that out. All right. So the next thing here is going back to also making sure that we're removing ambiguity and vagueness. So if you're starting a sentence in your essay with this, I want you to draw a line to the word that this refers to. And if you don't have one in your sentence, you need to rewrite it so that you do have the word or descriptive phrase that follows it. If you're writing, this isn't right, then you're being vague. So you need to say this type of racism or this type of oppression is not right. Then you're making your sentence and your essay a lot more focused, and I know what you're talking about. So always make sure that you're following this up with exactly the descriptive phrase that you need for this to make sense. Okay, so eliminating wordiness. There is, there was, there are, there were, it is, it was, it may be. Take those out if you can. You want to eliminate as many of those from your writing as possible because they're weak. We want to use strong verbs. So if you have a lot of be, am, is, are, was, were, been, and being, these are considered passive verbs, and this is passive writing. We want to revise your paper to eliminate at least half of them. So that way we're using more active verbs. All right, and I remind you a little bit here on how we want to integrate our sources. So when we're talking about our song, you can see I kind of have an example here of how I'm introducing film or I'm introducing a short story. And, before I get into my conversation, so you want to make sure we're doing that. Same thing here. I have a poem here where I'm integrating a quote from this poem into my writing. Now, poetry and music lyrics are pretty much done the same way. So you can see the way that I've integrated this into my own writing instead of just having a quote sitting there awkwardly, not knowing what to do in the middle of my paragraph. I want to lead you into what this quote is saying or what this is doing. So it's very important that you learn to start integrating your sources. This is more sophisticated writing. This is kind of what is expected in academia. So if you have some quotes just stuck there in the middle of your paragraph, find a way to work them into your own words. You can also see here, I have different ways of citing it. Notice I'm talking about Wordsworth here. The author is already stated in my sentence, so I only needed to put the page number of where this was found. Here, I don't tell you who said this in my sentence, so I need to let you know the author and the page number in my citation. Now, you're not going to have a parenthetical citation for your song, but you most certainly should, excuse me, you should have your author. All right, so you can see here secondary sources. If I do research, I'm going to be able to find them that way. So this is a really important search and destroy editing. I hope you keep this in mind. And remember to use it. So I would probably go in order. I would make sure I edit it myself. I would use Grammarly. And then I would go through here and check that peer review before I put mine up on the board. Here's the review of thesis statements. So if it's been a while since you've done that, we will definitely work on these more as we progress. But there's a quick review for you. Here's your discussion post for the week. And this week we're working on quotations and italics, and I already have a video up for you on that. I have some writing for you. So if you learn better by reading, then this will help you out. And then, of course, your grammar quiz for the week. And the grammar quiz is open now. I keep it open until November 27th. That way you can take it over and over and over again until you get 100, because we want A's. And then here is the 2 worst words in academic writing. And if you click into it, you're going to see how much I absolutely despise using I and you in an academic essay. I'm fine with them on the discussion boards. They're appropriate on the discussion board. But in an essay, we want to take them out. So please review these. If you have a bunch of I and you in your essay, you're going to feel it in your grade. I hope you don't. I hope you're paying attention, or your peers are pointing this out to you, because I tend to take off at least about 10 points when I see first and second person in your essay. And this is because it's generally not accepted in academia. And I want to make sure that you are on the right footing for your next classes. So I don't like them, but your other professors don't either. So hopefully we learn to eliminate those in this class. All right, so quotations in italics, which is what we're using in our song, taking out I and you, peer review, your checklist for that, and some self-editing. This is a lighter week. Polish that essay, make it great. Your first draft is not your best draft. Keep working on them. Get them into me by Sunday night. When you have them in the Dropbox, I'm going to assume that you are done, and I'm going to grade that. So, but now you know what I'm looking for when it comes to grading. I hope you guys have a really great week. Reach out to me if you have any specific questions. I'm happy to answer them.